All right, welcome everyone to the daily ULTY portfolio update for Tuesday, November 9th, dividend day, but also one day before the Federal Reserve rate decision in December. So I thought it appropriate to drink a beer. So I've got a Deschutes Obsidian Stout and dark beer, 6.4% alcohol from Bend, Oregon. And the tasting notes are espresso and chocolate, which I can get the coffee or the espresso, but I can't quite get the chocolate from it. But I thought it appropriate to pull out a beer because of the rate cut. I think anytime, the Fed's making moves, it's good to have a beer in hand. So if you just look at this betting market, the green line is people who think that the Fed is going to cut rates by 25 basis points. The blue line is people who say that the Fed's going to maintain the current rate. And the black line is people who think it's going to cut greater than 25 basis points. And right now, if the prediction markets are correct, a 97% chance that the Fed cuts by 25 basis points tomorrow. That wasn't always the case. This is a 1 month chart. So you see at some point it was 70%. It dropped as low as 26% in November, late November, and then inverted around November 21st. There must have been economic news that suggested it's important for the Fed to cut rates because they always say they're data dependent. So it shot up to, I think, 60% there. And then lately it's been going higher and higher, 80 and 90 as well. And the probability of them maintaining has gone down all the way down to 4%. So we'll keep a close eye on that, but I'm sure everyone's going to hear the news the same time I hear it. So let's get back to the ULTY portfolio. ULTY closed today at 40.45, which is, let's put into perspective, it's a good day. The last 5 days they've been up 2.72% just on price. The last month down 12.2%, 2.6% on price. But in the last, let's call it, few trading days since November 20th when it hit its low, it's been recovering and it has been pretty flat, not including all those distributions. So this, I think, is a good trend. I like what I'm seeing. Remember, I bought one share, I think last week it was. I might buy back in if I continue to see ULTY trading flat and if ULTY continues to hold these names in the portfolio that I like. Now, driving some of the gains today, Circle Internet up almost 6%, GDX 3.5%, Bitcoin 2.58%. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. Let's try to get the dip in there. So yeah, Bitcoin low around November 22nd, $84,000 per Bitcoin, and recovered there by about 10% today, back up to 92,000. Putting it into perspective, just looking at the market. So ULTY, what was it up today? ULTY was up 0.7%. The QQQE, the NASDAQ equal weight, was pretty much flat on the day. Let's see if you remove the E and don't get equal weight. If you don't get equal weight, it was up 0.12%. So ULTY beating the NASDAQ again. I think I said that yesterday. And on top of that, we've got the announcement of a dividend for ULTY. Now let's see where that news release went. I don't know where it went, but here it is, 54.61, so 54.55 cents. X-date's going to be tomorrow on the 10th, so in addition to rates perhaps going down, the share price of ULTY will also go down as they pay that out. They're saying it's 100% return of capital. If I were to buy, it would probably be tomorrow on the X-date if the price goes down enough. Not saying I'd buy as much as I did before, but I'm thinking about it. Losers on the day, Alcoa down 2.28%, SoFi down 2.83%. We'll take a look at the profitability of the SoFi trade because I know this one's been hammering them quite a bit since they bought it. But everything else, you can see the color coding. There were days I used to do this and it'd be completely in the red or just really blood red and then some slight yellow. But now we've got a nice color coding of bright green, dark red, but then some orange, dark orange, light yellow, and then light green. And this is what's contributing to the stability of the portfolio. Google, GLD, Amazon, TLT, Southern Copper companies. Robinhood is even remaining a bit flat, though. Expect Robinhood and Palantir to still provide that volatility. Morgan Stanley, fairly flat. So there is stability coming out of this portfolio, and I like to see that, even though the distributions are going down. By the way, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Would you rather have NAV stability or higher distributions, or lower distributions but more NAV stability? Let me know. So speaking of, let's take a look at the distributions. Where did I put those? Okay, so yeah, distributions are over here. And again, the last two distributions I've adjusted for the split. So you'll see it says 0.058 and 0.0546. I've just divided by 10. So, those were actually 58 cents and 54 cents. And then I'm only tracking this chart since ULTY started paying weekly distributions as well. But yeah, you see kind of back in 2025, back in March of 2025, 10 cents, peaked at around 11, almost 12 cents in May, and then has kind of been dropping off. You see recently when, since October 21st down to November 11th, when there was just a huge sell-off in ULTY. So the fund just shrunk and got smaller. So you'd expect less distribution as well. But we'll do another chart later that shows the percentage yield on it. But if you were to just go to the ULTY website and take a peek at what they're saying the yield is, right now it's 76.99, so 77%. If you've ever looked on this in the past, it's been in the 90s, usually around 80, 85, but now we're down around 76, which is still great, especially if ULTY is going to remain relatively flat, but we'll see. Now, I said we'd take a look at the SoFi trade, and we'll do just that right now. We see that they are down about almost 11% on this trade. Total, they're down 5.1 million. They have taken a realized loss on this stock. I'm going to pull it up here. They bought at around $29.79, sold a chunk of that at $28.52. So in theory, they've got $469,000 loss there on that trade. But they're still holding on to some of the shares. It's one of their few losing trades right now. IREN is also a losing trade if you sum up the total IREN position, because they bought before and bought back in. In fact, IREN for them, I'm going to go to the slide here. IREN for them, their first time around, lost them 17.9 million. They lost 29 million in stock, gained about 11.3 million in options, and so lost about 17.9 million, down 18%. Hopefully this time around, though, IREN will be a better trade for them. But everything else is looking good. I'm going to fill in the ROI eventually. For the days invested, though, I've got this table here that I think you guys might like. This is showing a lot of the recent trades that they've got. Actually, I'll show you. Days invested on a lot of the trades. And you can see, okay, for CACI, they only held that 1 day. HUT 8, NBIS for 3 days. Salesforce, they held for 5 days. Lululemon, 7. Teradyne, 7. Longest positions, if you look at the losers, the ones that really hurt them, those are the ones they held on to the longest, like MP, Symbotic, SoundHound, HIMS, Quantum Computing, Rocket Companies, BMNR, and again, IREN. These are ones they've held for, between 42 and 63 days. Ones that they've been profitable on, they've held for shorter term. So on average, let me just get the average. And these are of the stocks that I track. On average, they've held a position for 24.2 days. And you can see the minimum holding time was about 1 day, maximum holding time 63 days. Now, some of these positions, they actually still do have a little bit of holding in, like GLD and GDX. So they bought shares on the 18th of November, but then sold some shares on the 26th of November. So this isn't fully complete, but it's the best I can do with Google Sheets. Now, if I add in a today formula to just pull in today, and I'm going to drag that down, and the ones that I just did that to, I'll highlight these at the bottom in yellow. These are all positions that they bought and haven't sold any shares of yet. And let's see kind of how mature those positions are. Let me put that back in yellow. And the average here is 12 days. So this is a kind of a 12-day-old portfolio that ULTY is holding. The oldest one is Google, 25 days. Looks like the youngest ones are in the 4 TLT, maybe a 5-day one at Amazon there. So kind of interesting to see that. Let's see, that's 15 stocks in the ULTY portfolio out of 24. So what's 15 of 24 equals 15, 24. So 62% of the portfolio has been held for, on average, 12.2 days. Very interesting to see that. Lots of turnover in the ULTY portfolio. That's harmed them before, but we'll see if that can actually help them when, you see when they've held on to stocks for a long time. That's just when they've let their losses compound. But when they've made profits, I think they've held it for shorter times. So maybe that's something else we're going to start seeing in the ULTY portfolios. Faster trades and holding on to losers not quite as long, though SoFi will be a test of that. And Google will be a test of that as well, because Google, they're up 7.4 million. SoFi, they're down 5.1 million. If they net those out, they're still positive there. So anyways, guys, that is the ULTY portfolio update. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, for the people who just keep coming back and watching and commenting, you guys are awesome. Cheers to you. And I hope to see you in another video. If you did have a beer while you were watching, let me know what beer you were drinking in the comment section down below. Take care and see you tomorrow.